Oh, what's morning? What's morning, bitches? What's morning? All right. Let's do it. Morning, bitches. What's going on? I'm gonna keep it. Whew, just creaked out of bed not too long ago. Took my blood sugar, had my breakfast, which was, as usual, a bowl of oatmeal with some blueberries. And yeah, I thought we'd just get started nice and early as I'm waking up. Ugh. Still got the crust in my goddamn eye. No one's here yet, but that's fine. Hopefully someone shows up. Last couple of streams, I had someone show up and stick around for the remainder, and it was real fun. I got to engage one-on-one. I'm not going to be able to do that. If I got, streamers in general, I've noticed, when they have, I watch a couple of live stuff, a couple of live shows I like to watch. And when they got a bunch of people in the comments, they can't engage with everyone. They kind of glance over and I don't know. But, one-on-one, it was kind of fun. Yesterday, I had a guy who I think was a troll. No offense, but he stuck around. We had some fun. I was looking up some stuff. And then before that, I had a... Oh, sorry, Scott. Sorry. I had a longtime subscriber come on in. We're talking video games. This isn't a video game channel, but as it is my favorite hobby, I will be talking about video games quite a bit on this channel. Oh man, I just can't get enough coffee. This is actually leftover coffee. All right, so I was bad yesterday. I went and I stopped and I got, I don't know if they got one of these in your area, but a Bigfoot Java. It's a drive-through. It's like a barista place, but it's established. They have a chain. They have a lot of them here in Washington State. Pretty damn good coffee. Not as good as Dutch Brothers. Dutch Brothers is the king, but they're still pretty good. We stopped by and, I say I was being bad because I'm not allowed to have sweets. Diabetes. Which I'll try for that to be the only diabetes reference the entire video. But we stopped in. I had to get something. I got a blended white chocolate something. I couldn't even taste the coffee. It was good. It was all sweet. Stacy didn't like any of it. I was like, here, try it. She's like, I don't like it. I gotta be honest, it just tasted like sugar to me. I was enjoying it. But it didn't even taste like coffee. So when we got home, it was halfway done. When we got home, I just poured the rest of it in this big-ass mug of mine. and I brewed me just a cup of coffee on top of it. Mixed it up a little bit. There was coffee in it. She said she could taste it, but I couldn't. Way too much caffeine. I had a few sodas, sugar-free, of course. My extra giant carafe of coffee in the morning. On top of that, it was way too much caffeine. My heart was like racing a little bit, so I could just put the rest in the fridge. So this is just the rest of that with extra coffee poured on top. I didn't even have to put creamer in. Gotta be honest, I thought we'd have someone by now. I'm a little sad. You guys make me sad. It is Friday though, I think. Yeah, it's Friday. Oh, well, I just learned this morning, box office opening sales, not weekend sales, obviously, but opening sales for the Super Mario Brothers movie is $141 million in the US alone. That's domestic. That's not worldwide. That's crazy. Honestly, I thought it would do a little bit better. I thought it would be a little on the north side of 150, to be honest, but that's still really good. And again, that's just domestic. That's not worldwide sales. It's absolutely fucking crazy. I did a video on that. I wanted to talk about it in my last stream, but shit happens. Man, I got the new emojis and everything in my title for this one and everything, and no one showed up. I felt that motherfucker all night. Ooh. Ow. Shit, am I bleeding? It's redder now. Shit. Oh, I felt him. Oh, I'm getting this one too. Ouch. Man, this shit never stops. It never fucking stops, even after you get to be 40. Well, I'm not 40 yet, but I'm wearing it. I'm earning it. I'm earning it, especially with this shirt. Man, I was watching a stream last night of one of my YouTubers I follow, and he started off without wearing his hat. He usually wears his hat. I was watching him when he still had hair. Then he started wearing a hat. I'm like, why the fuck is he wearing this stupid fucking hat all the time? This was a couple years ago. And then I just got used to it, just wearing a hat. And then I started wearing a hat all the time. I was like, I bet you, because he's like my age, a little bit older, like a year older than me. I was like, I bet you he's wearing a hat for the same reason I'm wearing a hat. He's probably thinning out. So he started this stream without a hat. Damn, that is not the Jeremy I remember. Chat was flipping him shit and stuff. And he goes, bro, I'm 40. That ain't the burn you think it is. I'm 40. But good to say, I look so much better than that. So much better than that. Thank God. Thank God. I can't do everything I want to do. If I shave my head, it looks horrible. You know, it looks like, I mean, this ain't too bad. This ain't too bad. I'm sure the young ones with that crisp, let's go down to about here, right? And then let's go straight across. Ooh, I'm sure if you're young, oh man, right here, you can see where the line used to be. You must be this old to ride the fucking, I'm sure if you got this shit that just straight across, you're like, yeah, you're old, motherfucker, you're old. Yeah, well, so will you be, motherfucker, so will you be. I'm gonna wait till I get a. It didn't show live chat when this got put up on video form. It didn't show the live chat on the side, which I'm not sure why. I'm not sure how to do that. I'm not sure how to do that. Can I edit this while it's playing, or will it cut it off? We will see. Yep, morning stream, description, webcam, customization, live chat replay. Oh, Maybe that's the reason why. Let me click that. There we go. Live chat replay. There we go. I think that was it. Are we? Yep, we're still going. I think that was it. I didn't have the live chat replay done like a fucking boomer. You fucking boomer. I got the morning farts because that's what we do in the morning. Yeah, that Mario movie, I saw that. Like I said, I did a video on that. Check that out if you want. Uninterrupted, just talking about gushing over the Mario movie. Just to do a recap, I absolutely love the movie. Absolutely love the movie. In the title description, I copy and pasted the lyrics from Phil Collins, "In the Air Tonight." I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. Oh Lord, oh Lord. I really was. I didn't know it, but it occurred to me in the middle of the movie. I have been waiting for this for all of my life. Just a pure cinematic, grade A experience, unmolested by politics or agendas. And it satiated my needs as a Mario fan and a gaming fan and a Nintendo fan. It was. Do you want up? You want to say hi? Well, come on up. Guess which one it is. Come on. Come on. No, he doesn't want to. Oh, or do we? Get up here. Quit teasing everyone. There he is. There he is. Oh, it's my baby boy. It's my Ridley Doo-Doo. Show everyone your butthole. Okay, that's enough of that. Medium haircut. I gotta be honest. I had a long hair cat, have a medium hair cat, and I have a short-haired cat. The longer the hair, the more pain in the ass. The more hairballs, the more shit gets on your, more fur gets on your clothes, the longer it takes to bathe them. The longer the cat is with the cat hair, the more pain in the ass. Yeah, this guy is a tier above. Look at him. They just ate. It's time to play. Look at that tail going. Are you hiding underneath the wing ding? But yeah, that movie did. Oh, we got someone in, and we got a like. We got a like, which tells me you're probably a piece of shit. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me. Someone likes my video and I just call them names. A degenerate of the lesser internet. Welcome to the morning stream. I just got up and I was talking about the Mario movie a little bit. I got the video up if you wanted to check it out. It'd be redundant if I just talked about the whole thing again, so I'm not. I was really wanting to I'll see who you are when you type in chat. I didn't have the fucking chat replay on. I forgot to hit the settings for the past couple of videos. So if anyone watches them, you can't see the back and forth, which is crucial, especially in the last video, because literally all I did was go back and forth one-on-one and talk to a guy. And he had me look stuff up, and there was inside jokes, and without that context, I just looked like a jackass, which is nothing new for me, but it might be a little shocking for the viewer. I made sure I got that click this time. But thank you for the like. Thank you for the like. Yeah, the Mario movie is grossing 141 million domestically. That's not worldwide. It's doing so well. I'm very glad about that. And it's interesting to see all the articles come out now. I just watched the Yellow Flash video. And just to summarize what he said that, he was pointing out articles that Hollywood was afraid that Nintendo and Universal Studios are going to be eating Disney's lunch. That's such a weird thing, to be afraid that one corporation is going to be taking over and essentially eating the lunch of another giant corporation in a certain space. Like, that's so fucking weird. As a video game fan, as someone who likes Nintendo and Sony PlayStation and Microsoft Xbox and the Steam community and PC gaming, if, let's say, theoretically, one of the 4 major platforms I mentioned, I'm not going to lean towards one way or the other, but if one of them comes out and has a new product and absolutely mops the floor of the other 2 or 3, right? I'm not going to run interference. That's fanboy shit, straight up. It's just weird to me. It's just weird to me what's going on there. And they all don't like the movie because, 1, Disney didn't make it, and 2, it's got Chris Pratt in it. I think he did a fine job. I really do. Chris Pratt was a better Mario than everyone else. Chris Pratt was a better Mario than I keep wanting to call him Seth Rogen. No, it's Seth Rogen. I was going to say Joe Rogan. He was a better Mario than Seth Rogen was Donkey Kong, for sure. No, not everyone. Toad. Keegan was a fucking amazing Toad. But no, I really enjoyed the movie. It was so good. And I'm very glad it's doing better. We'll wait and see after the weekend to see how well it sold. And at the end of the week, I think those numbers are going to keep going up. Yeah, it wasn't even the fucking weekend. It came out on a Wednesday. I went to see it in the AM. Anyway, chat. Mr. Mysterious, you can type in the chat. I will reply. I don't have 100 million thousand subscribers and followers or viewers. It's just you here. So if you got something to say, you better fucking say it. Now I'll reply. Just gonna re-up on this coffee. There was a topic I wanted to kind of go over to. Ooh, that's pretty dark. Why is it so... Oh, it's all the fucking shit that they put in the creamer and stuff. Yeah, I was a little confused for a second. I've been confused this whole time. I did have a topic in mind, though. I wanted to talk about my favorite topics are the ones that blend. So I'm a self-described politico. I pay attention to the news. I read the articles. I watch pundits that go over the stuff. I know what's going on more than the average person, and it's just a general interest of mine. And I do the same thing with video games and video game news and stuff like that. I'm really plugged into that scene. So my favorite topics are the crossovers between real world politics and video games. I mean real world things that cross over into the video game industry. I do not mean politics in gaming. I don't like politics in gaming. But my favorite topics are of such. And we got a good one. We got a good ongoing one with the Microsoft Activision deal and all the regulators and the FTC and stuff. I've been having a field day of what's going on. And then I go to channels and the comment section and what have you. And since I'm a politico and I know a little bit more about the political side of things, I kind of sound off into the comments and I tell the creators, I make corrections and I tell people, kind of what's going on the back end that they might not know of because they don't know. They don't know that the Biden administration is weaponizing institutions like the FBI and the IRS and now the FTC, and there was a hostile takeover on the board there, and it's politically motivated, and they serve the Biden admin. None of these people know that. None of these people know that. And so I go and I, say that stuff, and they get mad at me, and they ban me, and it's pathetic. I straight up got banned from a high-level well, it's Brad Sams. Brad Sams, if you don't know who he is pretty much the guy when it comes to the Xbox scene. He leaked early the Xbox Series systems. He leaked Project Scarlet. He was the one who leaked the Xbox One X back in that time. He is the guy. He works for Thurrott.com. He is the authority on Microsoft Xbox stuff, in my opinion. And he fucking banned me because I pointed out FTC shit. It was horrible. That's the world I live in. You can't do both. You can't be seriously into politics and seriously into gaming, because the fake people in gaming will blockade you and say, no, none of that truth. None of that fucking truth. So with the whole Microsoft Activision FTC stuff going on, there is a serious implication going on there aside from the normal stuffs. So if you didn't already know, the short version leading up to what I was going to talk about is Sony, PlayStation, Jim Ryan, they made a big fuss, a big stink, and lobbied against Microsoft purchasing Activision. And the FTC and the CMA and the European Union and all the regulatory bodies all looked into it to see and blockaded Microsoft, and it seemed like they were on their side at first. After looking into it extensively, this could have gone either way. They could have just said, all the regulatory bodies just could have said, I don't give a fuck. We got complaints. We're going to use it, and we're going to use this cudgel and hammer shit home and blockade this deal until you bend over backwards and give us everything we want, which is what the governments are doing. They're just wielding a much larger cudgel and swinging extra hard than we initially thought. Their scope, the center of gravity of that huge fucking mall isn't squarely on top of fucking Microsoft. Microsoft is on the purview, but the main hit, it's to get everyone. That's what they didn't fucking see. That's what people like Sony didn't fucking see. So now what's going on with the FTC in particular and other governing bodies, they're looking into fair trade and practices into Sony and other entities as well. I'm sure Tencent is going to hit some backlash, and probably Nintendo, probably a little bit of everyone is going to get flack from the fallout of, no pun intended, of all of this looking into FTC bullshit and the dealings and stuff like that. So the court approved a lot of legal filings. They want to look into Sony's behavior and stuff on top of Microsoft to see what they have, and it's going to be a shit show. And the FTC recently, bipartisan, which I hate that word because that bipartisan doesn't exist in the political world. It just doesn't. All that means is uniparty, which is basically, yeah, I'm not gonna dive too much into that, but a bipartisan approach signed by a lot of congressmen and women. They sent a letter to Japan talking about their U.S.-Japanese trade deal and what's going on there. That's the topic I wanted to touch on. I found that very interesting, especially to me as a gamer, right? If you just erase politics from the equation, let's just pretend I'm an average YouTuber who doesn't know anything about politics, and I don't understand what the Biden administration has anything to do with the FTC. I'm quoting Destin. Destin's been doing a really good job of keeping the internet up to date on everything going on with the acquisition and the court case and what have you. And there was a video where he was reading an article and it mentioned the Biden admin essentially weaponizing the FTC, something I've been saying like forever. And he read the line, and he goes, what does that have to, he got all offended and shit. What does that have to do with anything? Everything. Anyway, leaving politics aside, just talking about gaming, do I want just some magic hammer cracking down on Sony and my PlayStation now? As a as a US citizen, as a gamer, do I want my PlayStation to be constricted by all sorts of regulations and telling them what they can and can't do? The only big, oh man, I'm really torn. I'm really fucking torn. Okay, let me break it down. So my default stance in the gaming industry is that I want zero government interference. Not from the US, not from abroad, not from Japan. Zero. Zero. I know the ESRB is crooked and they do fucked up shit. Like they will slap an M rating on a family-friendly game for gambling just because they're not part of the cool kid crowd. They're not part of the board. But then when it comes to 2K's basketball game, 2K, is it just called 2K? 2K11 or, whatever year it was. I didn't actually buy and play it, but whatever game that was, where they had literal slot machine gambling in it, they gave it an E rating. You got shit like that happening, crooked ass shit from a self-regulatory body. And this is what happens when you self-regulate. It's like that Obama meme where he's fucking putting the medal on himself. We looked into ourselves and we found that we did nothing wrong. Oh, there does need to be some sort of third-party regulatory overseer in all cases, whether we're talking about video games or not. Because what ends up happening is, the industry gets out of control. And here we are now today in 2023 with loot boxes and microtransactions. And now they're trying to push what are they called? The fucking, the Bored Ape. What are those called? The digital picture shit. You know what I'm talking about, right? Oh man, what's the acronym for it? NFTs, that's what it is. Shit, boomer moment there. God damn. We got an industry that's pushing all this weird, wacky shit. And if we had some real regulation, it wouldn't happen. That being said, my default stance is I do not want the government whatsoever interfering and regulating the industry. I don't want them interfering with anything. I don't want them interfering with how you raise your children. I don't want them interfering with schooling. I am very, very small government. As a person, as a kid who grew up in the system, no bueno. It's no good. So you take something I love, like video games, and the industry, I am vehemently against. Did I say that word right? I'm not going to say it again. But I am very much against government interference. And there's always been people to champion that shit. The biggest one I could think of is loot boxes about a year ago and going back past that. Remember with EA and the whole, it's not loot, they're surprise mechanics. It gives players a sense of pride and accomplishment. Do you remember that shit? Well, that shit was going down and the regulatory bodies were looking into this stuff. People were like, yay, loot boxes need to be gambling. They need to implement. I felt like I was the only one going, yeah, let the government come in and start taxing this shit. I'm sure that would be good. That would just clean the industry up and we, the gamers, won't have to pay for it at all. Are you fucking kidding me? shit rolls downhill. Whatever tax or restrictions that they impose on the companies, and that goes for all of them. I don't care if we're talking about PC gaming, AMD and NVIDIA, the chip makers, Steam. I don't care if it's the console guys, Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony. We are going to have to pay for that. We're already starting to pay for that with the $70 games. The price of development is going up. Are they cutting back on their budget? Are they cutting out some of the bloat? No, they're passing the fucking cost on to us, and it sucks. It fucking sucks. We're gonna keep seeing shit like that. Anyway, I was against that, and I'm against this. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? I forgot to put on chat replay in the settings from I think I could go back and do that, but I forgot to put on chat replay settings from our last video. So if anyone watches the video of yesterday, all they'll see is me just saying fucked up shit. There's no context. What's going on? Oh, Sam, are you number 2? Or are you number 1? Have you been here the whole fucking time? Someone's been here the whole time. I don't think it was you, because you would have said something, I think. But anyway, we got 2 people here and only 1 like. Oh, wait. Okay, I won't. So what was I talking about? Yeah, so I'm against government regulation for, video games and stuff like that, because I know how it will end. You could already see. Oh, thank you. You guys are the homies. I know how it'll end. We've already seen ramifications of this with the industry changing, going towards monetization of everything. The slow death of the premium game, introduction of services and into the mobile market. Like, they're going to pass the cost on to the consumer, and the more regulatory shit that gets imposed on the industry, the more we're going to have to pay. And I would just like to preserve how things are and were for as long as possible. And so I'm against any and all government regulation there. Nonetheless, people continue to cheer for government intervention. People continue to cheer for the government to step in and say what you can and can't do with loot boxes and other things, depending on, and this is where politics get weird, because you'll have people in my sphere, right, who don't like governments, who don't like government intervention, who don't like the weird, gross politics being pushed into everything. But then when it comes to, let's say, loot boxes, then they're like, yay, government intervention. It's to protect the kids. The kids who are playing on their PS5, fucking get out of here. They're playing on their cell phones now. Fucking the people who own a Series X and a PS5 right now are fucking old motherfuckers like me. Get the fuck to protect the kids. Get the fuck out of here. Fucking EA and 2K already have their fucking games on phones. They got their mobile versions. Sam, was that your last name? Or did you change your shit? Wea? I'm all reading it backwards and shit now to see if you got a secret message in there. Yeah, so now, again, that's my stance as a gamer, as someone who has an interest in the industry and who's been gaming and paying attention for 40 years now. And then the political side of me, I am very much a nation first, protect our borders. I wouldn't call myself conservative just because I wouldn't. But, I am, man, I don't know how else to say this. I am an America first guy when it comes to policy and things in general. Here's where the two worlds clash. At the gamer, no government intervention whatsoever. Stay out of games. Get out of here. Fuck off. Go fuck yourself. And over here, I'm an America first. Protect our borders. We should look out after our own. Our money should be funneled into our schooling. We should protect the children. Small government, local government. I'm small government type of guy over here. Where the crossover comes is now that the FTC and Congress and other regulatory bodies are looking into Sony when it comes to the US and Japan trade agreement. And people have been saying this is going to bite Sony back. This is going to bite back and bite them in the ass after all the meddling and lobbying. Microsoft has got some lobbyists of their own. And on a quick side note, just the coverage of the situation has been wildly pro-Sony. I don't know why, but the industry has been wildly pro-Sony. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. My best guess, my absolute best guess, and I doubt I'm right here, my best guess to why there's so many shills that are shilling for Sony as opposed to Nintendo and Microsoft is because we're all old and we've been growing up with Nintendo and Sony and Japanese games, and we all grew up playing Mario and Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that. Final Fantasy VII on the PS1, which I'll get to. I'm 3 games away. I got Final Fantasy V next. No, 2 games away. I got Final Fantasy 5, 3. 5, and then Final Fantasy 6, and then Final Fantasy 7 to play next up on my list, by the way. But just a bunch of old folks like me. They're all in the industry. They're all writing articles. All the SJWs, they all grew up playing Mario and Zelda and stuff like that. I think that's the reason why. Microsoft Xbox is still technically the new kid on the block. And the people in power, the people holding the pen, they're, you can't get rid of fanboyism. You just can't. I think that's the reason why. They're just more accustomed and more attuned to what, PlayStation is doing. They're just more nostalgic towards PlayStation. So they gravitate towards it in general. Not even talking about fanboyism, but I just think that's what it is. You got a bunch of people, in their, late 30s and 40s who are working at GameSpot and and IGN and stuff like that, and they'll write their article and it'll be pro Sony. I think that's the reason why. I think it's an age thing, a age/culture thing. I think on a long enough timeline I think we're at a turning point, with Game Pass and the way the industry is changing. I think 10 years from now, when Microsoft does something stupid and all the articles come out, they're all going to defend it, just like they all defend Sony, or they're not going to write about it. I think that's what's going to happen. It's just going to take a little bit more time. But that's just my stupid fucking theory. Anyway, fact, the industry protects Sony for whatever reason. That's very evident with what's been going on with the FTC. There's articles being written. More importantly, the articles that aren't written, that aren't being told. Every time something big happens that shows Sony in a bad light, a lot of articles just don't talk about it. Or when they do, they just briefly mention it, and it's very weird. It's very weird. If you want more proof, just look at The Last of Us Part 1, the PC port. This is Sony's arguably the number one game manufacturer, the number one fucking guys on the planet, right? And this is their number one marquee cornerstone blockbuster franchise, The Last of Us, right? And it's getting a PC port, their new remake, in line with the new TV show out, right? All eyes should be on this. But no, it is very hard to even find anyone to write an article on how fucking bad this game is. This game shouldn't even, the port, not the original, not the remake even, the port, the PC port. It shouldn't even be on Steam. They should abstain. It's horrible what's going on there. The amount of problems there, the negative reviews, you'd think everyone would be shouting from the rooftops, but no. It's weird. It is beyond weird. So there is some bias there, just as a side note. Anyway, if I could spit the dick out and finally get to what I was trying to say fucking 20 minutes ago, I'm leading up. I'm like telling a story. I'm telling a very long, convoluted, boring ass fucking story. Coming up to the convergence of politics and gaming, right? Where I'm really split and torn because, like I said, I don't like politics, real world political influence, regulating, my gaming. And on the other end, I want to preserve and protect gaming and, our nation as well. So what's going on now is lobbyists are now looking into the U.S.-Japan trade agreement that is outside of gaming, has nothing to do with gaming. Well, I shouldn't say nothing to do with, but it is not made with gaming in mind. It just has to do with gaming and our fair trade agreements there with Japan. We have a deal with them. And I was thinking about this. And of course, when you go online, when you go on the internet, everybody has their opinions. And when you take into account the shillery, the Sony shillery going on. Now, when I say stuff like that, I'm not talking shit about PlayStation as, a box. I love my PlayStation box. I'm not talking shit about PlayStation fans. I'm a PlayStation fan. I really am. But when you take all the things I talked about into account, the shillery, the fanboyism, the bias, the lobbying, there is huge pushback on the issue, and it's an issue that not a lot of people are going to have an opinion like me on. Not because, as I spoke of before, not a lot of people are politicos and into gaming. Not a lot. There's a couple of channels I kind of pay attention to, and I like. Yellow Flash is one of them. I mentioned that. Jeremy over at The Quartering as well. They kind of cover the pop culture side of gaming. They don't really cover gaming, So they do fairly well with politics, we'll say. But when it comes to the actual gaming, they don't really know what they're talking about. It's sometimes cringy watching one of them talk about, like, the new Call of Duty controversy, because it is completely one-sided from a pop culture standpoint and political stuff. And I hate to defend certain things, but every once in a while when they cover shit like that, it's like, oh man, you don't even know what you're talking about. You know what you're talking about when it comes to politics, but they give like a blanket pop culture statement over the situation. They don't really know the ins and outs of gaming. So that's kind of where I come in, because I kind of know both, right? Because someone like, Yellow Flash is not up to snuff on, all the legal dealings and what's going on with the FTC and the Microsoft Activision case. They just know the headlines and, the Twitter personalities and shit like that. I saw a dead squirrel near the dumpster at McDonald's. Now, were you like in the drive-thru? Because I don't go to fast food all that often anymore. But the absolute worst thing, you ever go to a drive-thru at like McDonald's or something like that, right? It's got a long line. You go up, you're sitting there in the car, you take your order, you pull up, you're sitting there waiting, you're starving, and you could smell the McDonald's. Oh, it smells so good. Let me get that fucking Big Mac. No onions. Fries. Put the fries on the Big Mac. Oh, yeah. And there's a dead fucking animal right goddamn there. Holy shit. Holy shit, it is the worst. That's enough to gag a maggot. That is the fucking worst. Yo, Evan, what's going on? Oh shit. I see you got a hairline that's rivaling mine, buddy. What's going on, Evan? I gotta insult everyone who comes in. A light insult. Just a very light-footed insult. Just a little one. We're back down to 2. We're back down to 2. I think he left. I think. I don't know. Maybe he just popped on for a second. Maybe the first guy left. I don't know. Or are you the first guy, Evan? Anyway, hi, you guys. Hi. But yeah, that is the absolute worst. Nothing grosses me out more than that. Well, that's not true. There are a few things that gross me out more than that, but that is at the top of my list. A similar story. I actually threw up over this before. I forget where I was. I was young. I got to have been it was at our first house before I was in the system. So I had to have been about 10 or 11. I was playing out in the backyard. I was around the house, or I was coming in the house, or I was leaving. I think I was coming in. I don't remember what I was doing. It was fucking years ago. Anyway, I smelled something really good outside. It smelled like someone was cooking. I thought it was one of the neighbors having a barbecue. So I was out there kind of lurking around. Went around on one side of the house, couldn't smell it. So I went around on the other. Oh, I could smell it again. It must have been them. Peeked over the fence, listening, couldn't hear anything. Maybe it's coming from the kitchen, right? Started walking other direction towards the front. It's got a little stronger. It's either this neighbor right here or across the street. I don't think it was across the street because I was just fucking around up there. Didn't smell right. I got closer and closer. I was smelling it. It smelled so fucking good. Got up to the fence up in the front there, right next to the garbage cans. I'm sure you know where the story's going. Peeked over the fucking fence. Nothing. And then I looked, and it was the fucking garbage. It was the fucking garbage. Back in the fucking 90s, early 90s, right? Picture that setting, the fence and everything. It was the fucking garbage with their thin-ass fucking garbage bags, because we didn't have the good plastic industrial shit back then. And it was our garbage, right? I lived in a house full of women. It was like last night's dinner mixed with, all the tampons and shit, and just... because I was smelling that shit hardcore. I was like following the smell, and in my own head, it was like, oh, it smells so good. And then when it hit me that this whole time I was fucking inhaling, oh man, I'm holding something back right now. When it hit me what the smell was, I doubled over. I didn't actually... oh man, it was psychologically and physically horrid. Anyway, thank you, Sam. Sam always be derailing me. All right, so enough of that shit. So with the convergence of real world politics and my stance there and the gaming industry, what we're doing now is we're looking into this fair trade agreement. And I'm really, really, really torn on what we should do there. A lot of people think it's dumb. It's like, oh, well, why should the US and Microsoft tax, they can't. The biggest pushback I see here when I, leave my comments and stuff like that, people like yelling at me and freaking out and just not knowing what the hell they're talking about and being over emotional and stuff like that. The backlash that I get the most is, well, Microsoft can't make Japanese developers put games on their system. You know, it's stupid. True, they can't. But the government can. And then the second wave of backlash. The US can't do shit because, like, when I'm in these spaces and stuff, not everyone is, you know, from America. There's a lot of Canadians and people from the UK that are chiming in on what is now a US political, you know, topic. And I am not a fan of that either. Every time, you know, well, so like my stance is when the whole Brexit thing was happening, Sam, you're from, no, that was Scott. That was from the UK. But when the whole Brexit thing was happening, I had my opinions, of course, as an outsider looking in, but I stayed out of the discourse. And that's because that's them. You know, let them handle their shit. They have their citizens that know what's going on. I'm letting them handle that, you know? Even though I am somewhat of a politico, I'm not going to be very... I'll keep my opinions to myself out of respect. Just to respect the boundaries of others. And, you know, if the UK wants to do the UK, well, you know, let them do their shit. You know, I'll stay out of it. You know, respect there. Let them do what they choose to do. You know, I believe in sovereign nations. I actually believe in that. I respect that. I actually respect that. I'm not going to go and shit post on, you know, social media and shit over Brexit, for or against. I'm just not going to, as an American. That being said, I would very much appreciate it if the people in the UK and the Australians and the fucking liberals from fucking Canada would shut the fuck up about our politics and Trump and our FTC. I would really very much appreciate it if y'all would shut the fuck about our politics. So that's the reason why I stay out of that shit, like when the whole Brexit thing was going down. But here we are. And Congress is looking into our US-Japan trade agreement. And as I was saying, the second wave of backlash I get is, well, the US can't do anything. The US can't make Japanese devs make games for Xbox. Right again. They can't. But the Japanese government can. And that's kind of what they don't get. They see things... They're trying. You can see the gears turning, but there's a hiccup there. They get stuck on, well, Microsoft. Well, the U.S. government. All of a sudden, it's not the Biden admin. All of a sudden, it's the U.S. government. On both sides of the fence, right? Suddenly, the conservatives who don't like government interference and don't like the Biden institutions, suddenly it's the U.S. government. Anyway, so again, the US government can't, but the Japanese government can. So here's the way, in theory, it would work. The US government, you know, tells the Japanese government, because of their trade agreement, their fair trade agreement, to look into some of the shady dealings and exclusivity agreements and other things going on with Sony in particular, not Nintendo, which I'm sure Nintendo is sitting there going, fuck, it's only a matter of time before they catch wind. And if shit goes down, now would be the time. Like, let's say best case scenario for Microsoft is shit goes down and governments regulate the fuck out of Sony, all of the trade agreements, out of all the exclusivity deals. They're threatening to bar and boycott Sony products here in the States unless there's some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Not neutrality clause, but parity clause, right? When it comes to game releases and stuff like that. And then suddenly Microsoft is getting all of the Japanese games because, you know, Japan doesn't want to send their games out to die. I know that their games aren't going to die if they don't release them on Xbox. I just meant, like, without not being able to release them theoretically in the American market. You know, if they can't release it on Xbox, suddenly they're not allowed to release it on Steam or the PlayStation either here in America. Maybe that would be enough. But I think it will be for some, but not for others. I think some will be like, well, fuck that. I don't give a fuck. We're not going to do it. You know, we just won't release this game in the US, which happens a lot anyway, if you didn't already know. Anyway, so when you take that all in consideration, this is where my stance gets, I'm torn. I'm legit torn because, like I said, on one hand, I do not like any sort of government regulation on my industry, on my video game industry that I love. On the other hand, I am an America First guy, and the US-Japan trade agreement is a real thing. And if you look at it, so I covered, the gaming side of things, just all politics aside. Now covering it from an America First, from a political perspective, gaming industry aside, right? I believe it is a good thing. It is a good America First stance to have trade agreements with other countries that implement some sort of fair trade parity clause. As bloated as the systems are and as fake as, the bipartisan support is, the Uniparty and how the Biden admin controls the FTC and stuff, all that taking into consideration, I still believe that, these fair trade agreements are a good thing, and we have to protect our own interests and our own sovereignty, and we got to protect our own economy, especially in these days when we're pretty much in a worldwide recession. This leads to another point I wanted to talk about with the whole FTC thing. I believe there's conspiracies, which are not theories. They are conspiracies, but they're not theories. It's been proven, right? And then there are actual theories that have not been proven. Here's my tinfoil hat theory. I believe, at least here, well, not here, but with the UK and the European Union and and the United States with the FTC, I believe the main factor there when it comes to this Microsoft acquisition, the main focus that none of the regulatory bodies are touching up on, is I think they're trying to just, while there's a lot of like gross politics and partisan behavior and shit going on there, I think the main focus that they're not going to say, and they kind of can't say for many reasons, is they're trying to preserve and protect the economy, right? Theoretically, if this Microsoft acquisition is going to interfere, right, especially when it comes to the UK and the European Union, let's say this Microsoft acquisition is going to drastically disrupt the gaming industry, right? This is one of the few industries that has continued not only to make money, but to increase the amount of money going through the gaming industry has only increased over the past couple of years since, the pandemic and the lockdowns and the recession. The money has only gone up. In our worldwide recession, this is a very important industry. It is the biggest industry when it comes to media, bigger than the music industry, bigger than the movie industry. And I'm just look at the numbers for the Mario movie, for Christ's sake. I think they're trying to protect the economy. Now, theoretically, I don't believe this or believe this will happen, but it is a concern of theirs. If Microsoft comes along and snatches up Call of Duty and disrupts the whole fucking industry and takes away the main moneymaker for number one, and number one being Sony, especially in the UK, especially in the European Union countries, disrupts that whole fucking thing, and all the money gets sucked out of the industry on that side of things, that's not a good thing for their economy. It's not a crippling blow. It's not a fucking crippling blow to the world and the world economy or anything like that. But I think it is enough for them to get a little spooked and go, holy shit, maybe we should look into this. Is Microsoft going to take away Call of Duty? How is that going to impact, the industry, which is predominantly PlayStation here in the European states. I think that's what's going on secretly behind the scenes. Like I said, tinfoil hat theory, but just on a purely political side, looking into things, I think that is a major concern of theirs, and they can't say that for a number of reasons. One of the reasons being the fact that they're not going to admit to being in a worldwide recession, because that's part of the agenda. I mean, just look at the Biden administration statements on the recession. What did they do? Oh, they changed the definition of recession because they can't admit to being in one. So for a number of reasons, they're not going to admit to it, but I think that they are spooked, and behind the scenes, they're just trying to protect the industry, and they're just trying to keep the money rolling. They're just trying to keep the money rolling, and they don't want Microsoft to get all the money, who no one buys the system. Here in the United States, system sales for PlayStation and Xbox are 1-for-1. Not worldwide. Sony is eating Microsoft's lunch worldwide when it comes to all of them. Current gen, last gen, gen before that. But at least here in the United States, it's pretty much 1-for-1. I think Sony might be outselling the Xbox this gen here in the States as well, but only by a little bit. It's not 2-to-1 here in the States. It's 1-for-1 for the most part. So European Union and everyone else, they're like, we don't give a fuck, that they sell a little bit more in the US. Sony is the number one worldwide. Sony's number one here in Europe. We don't want fucking Microsoft coming along and eating all the fucking money if it means our economy is going to go in the shitter. I don't think that's going to happen. I believe Microsoft when they say that they're going to not take away Call of Duty, whether or not you believe that or not, but I think that is their concern. And that's why you're seeing this unprecedented stink with this whole situation from regulatory and government bodies that we've never seen before. I think there are real world implications there that haven't been at play before, haven't been a threat. We are getting to the point, we're past the point, we've been past the point for a long time where the video game industry is something maybe the rest of the world should look at. And that moment was probably 20 years ago. But, it takes a long time for old people to die. You know what I mean? So now we're at a point where the video game industry is the predominant media industry, and they're making all the money, and they control everything. And the governments are just now catching up and catching on to that shit. And now we're in a, worldwide recession, and it's serious business time. And now they're a little late to the party, and they're freaking out because they realize that they dropped the ball. I think that's what's going on. But again, they're not going to admit to this. So that's a big fucking issue there. But anyway, when it comes to the fair trade agreement, what they're proposing is the US is proposing Japan that they look into the fair trade agreement there, and essentially exclusives for the PlayStation platform. I like exclusives. So again, my stance is always different than everybody else's. No matter what it is I think and say, it's always different from what the person next to me thinks. So I'm always on the outs here. So can you see it? My TV. PS5, Xbox Series X. So yeah, I own both. Love both, play both. But I am predominantly an Xbox guy. I'm invested in that ecosystem. All my friends on my friends list are on the Xbox. I'm invested in the achievement system. I almost got 400,000 achievements. I am the top 0.1% in the world. And I play all my third-party stuff there. And of course, Game Pass is awesome. That being said, I got my PS5, and I'm building up my exclusive library. I'm finishing up all my last-gen PlayStation 4 exclusive titles. I only got The Last of Us Part 2. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy... I know. I fucking know. Last of Us Part 2 and Gravity Rush 2. Those are the only two last-gen PS4 games I got in my library that I'm going to be playing soon, and then I'll be on to my PS5 library. I have about 10 games on my PlayStation 5 I haven't even touched yet. My point here is, while I love Xbox and their ecosystem and what they're doing, I still really like exclusives. I still really, not third-party exclusives. I almost never buy, I almost never buy third-party exclusives because I would prefer to play on Xbox, and half the time, if I just wait, it'll come out on Xbox anyway. Case in point, Dragon Quest XI. Took a while, but it's finally there. Ni no Kuni 1 and 2. It took a while, but it's finally there. And a bunch of other games, of course. I wish they could say that. I'm focus, motherfucker, focus. I don't mind third-party exclusives so much. It's when you have exclusive deals and there's no transparency behind it. If they just said, yeah, we have a 1-year exclusive agreement with Sony. If you want to play it early, buy it on Sony. And then, 1 year from now, it'll release on the other platforms. If they just said that, I would wait and just buy it for whatever platform I wanted. Or if I wanted just to play it early on PlayStation, I would. My problem is they come out with an exclusive, market it as an exclusive, make absolutely no mention it's coming to Steam or Xbox or Nintendo. No mention of it at all. I buy the goddamn thing for fucking PlayStation. I don't get to it right away because, it takes me years to play my backlog. And then by the time I do get around to playing it, it's already out on the platform I would have wanted to buy anyway. That's my fucking problem. So it's a transparency issue there. That being said, I don't really like third-party exclusives, but I do like the first-party stuff. I do like a nice meaty exclusive. And most of my library for the PlayStation are exclusive. So I do like those exclusive titles. And this goes into what I'm saying. Do I want government bodies telling Sony and other companies what they can and can't do? You can't have this nice new shiny exclusive. No, I don't like them saying that. I don't like that at all. However, this is a very unique situation. Very, very, very unique situation. And that situation is, and this is another thing I'm just going to mention briefly, Nintendo. The Nintendo Switch is a handheld. I know it's not marketed as a handheld, it's marketed as a console. I know functionally it's not just a handheld, it can be played as a console. In fact, when I play my Nintendo Switch, I play it predominantly as a home console. I have it docked and I play it on my big screen with the controller in hand, with the Pro Controller. So functionally and marketing, it is a hybrid console. I understand that. That being said, it is not a console. It isn't. It sacrifices power for other features. It has an independent screen. It has an internal power source. What console does this? Where's the PlayStation and its independent screen? Where's the Xbox and its internal battery you could pick up and play with the controller integrated into it? Well, like, where? The answer is the Switch is a fucking handheld. It's not marketed as one. It's not functionally one. It is a hybrid. Oh, and by the way, does the PlayStation and the Xbox require an external device to play on the TV? Like a dock? No, it fucking doesn't. It fucking doesn't. So don't fucking tell me it's a goddamn console or a hybrid. It's not. It's a handheld. So with that being said, it is not. And it's proof in the hearings and the proceedings that the certain language being told Nintendo isn't part of the console market. every time they reference Nintendo, they don't call them console. They'll say something like device, or they'll say home apparatus or something like that. They specifically don't call them a console because they're not. Even Nintendo doesn't refer to themselves as such when it comes to the legal sense. In factuality, it's not a console. And the reason why I'm making such a big fucking stink about that is because they're not in the same market. They're just not. They're not in the same market as Sony and Microsoft. Sony and Microsoft are an actual platform that integrate multiple generations and smartphones and other technologies. Their publishing goes across PC and other things. They have a monumental platform that transcends just console gaming. Nintendo, they just have another handheld that's doing really well. And they're cannibalizing their 3DS market. Because their new handheld is the Switch. A Godoy. So they're just not part of the same market. So when you restrict things down to just Sony and Microsoft here, and you look at the trade agreement, and you look at something from a political perspective, and what does that look like? I think that looks like, and like I said, this is a very, 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 very unique situation if you want to think about it. You have a country, the United States. We're not talking about the West. We're not talking about Mexico or Canada. We're not talking about Europe. We're talking about the United States of America. Microsoft as a company, they are a multinational conglomerate at this point, sure. But their base of operations, on paper, where the money comes in and where the money goes out, it's an American company. They have an American-made console. If Xbox goes tits up, if Microsoft goes tits up, the number one country in the world that will lose out is America. Likewise, if Nintendo or Sony goes tits up for whatever reason, the number one country that would lose out is Japan. They don't make the most sales there. They don't make the most. They don't sell the most games there. Their population just can't match the might of Europe or United States or other places. It's a small island, but it is integrated into their economy. If just tomorrow fucking Sony goes under, the Japanese economy would take a huge fucking hit. And that's what I mean by, the political side of things and, my America First mentality. It is a thing. Microsoft is an American company. Now, there's only two console makers in the biz. There's only two at the moment of, right? If Steam wants to, the Steam Deck isn't a console, the Switch isn't a console, but there's only two as of right now, the Xbox and the PlayStation 5. One of them is American made, the other one is Japanese. Okay, you following? It is a very unique situation in this sense that there's only two, and one of them is American and one of them is Japanese. And we have this thing called the United States trade agreement with, it's not called that, but I'm calling it that, the United States and Japanese trade deal. So you have a Japanese console that is selling 1-for-1 with the American console. Here in the American market, you have a Japanese product that is the number one rival to an American product made here in America. And then on top of that, you have exclusive games being made for one of those consoles, the foreign console, exclusively being made for them, completely barring entry for the Xbox market. Now, you tell me if that's fair on a political standpoint. Is it fair? What if this was China doing this? What if China came out with their we me or whatever the fuck, right? And they're selling it here in America, right? And it's this shitty fucking thing, right? And they're allowed to sell exclusive games that are barred from ever being on Xbox or Steam or PlayStation. you know damn well people would raise a stink about that and say that's not fair, mostly because people don't like China for good reason. But why can't we take those reasons and apply it to Japan? When talking about the political thing, why can't we apply that evenly there? And this is where I'm torn as an America First guy looking at this very unique situation. It is something that should be looked at. It is something I am in favor of, in theory at least. This is where I'm torn on. I'm not a smart enough man to say what we should do, but there are weird things afoot there. Let's say Japan looks into it and says, you know what, this does violate our trade agreements. Yeah, we'll do something about it. Sony, you know, next time a game gets published on the Sony console, we'll make sure that you know, it gets an Xbox port. You know, we're gonna tell Square Enix and Kemco and Temco and Bandai Namco and you know all these other Japanese companies. We're going to tell them that you know if you're going to make a game on PlayStation, you're going to have to do an Xbox version if you want to release it in the States. Or they'll just say fuck off, you know, just leave us alone. No, and then America will have to retaliate and say, well, if that's the way it's going to be, then we're not going to let you sell these games in America. And it might be a whole thing. And this is what I mean by government intervention. Ah, they're out. They're out. You could at least say goodbye, you motherfuckers. Oh, no, you're back. You're back. Or someone is. I think your shit drops out for a second because you dropped out briefly and then you came back last video as well. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to be wrapping this up here. I've been yammering for over an hour, and that's about my limit. But that is a very unique view that ties in politics with the gaming industry. And the gaming people just tend to be more fanboyish and not have the whole scope of things. They just champion their side no matter what. And then, of course, the political people, they don't know what the hell's going on with the gaming industry, and they don't know what's best for it, or they just see things on a surface level. And so this is kind of my unique view on the situation. This is a very unique situation to begin with. We've never seen this. It's my little tinfoil hat theory on why all the government bodies are ultra interested in the gaming industry right now. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think there should be some sort of regulatory parity between, you know, backing up the Japan-US trade agreement? Do you think it's unfair? Because let's be honest, whether you're for it or against it, or you want the intervention or not, or you know you're fanboying for whatever side, you can't deny that it is unfair to have a Japanese console that is directly rivaling an American console, and those are the only two in the game as of right now, the American one and the Japanese one, to sell their console and their product and their games over here in our market, in our economy, and they take an extra step to bar games from the Xbox platform so that American citizens are forced to buy their product. You know, when it comes to, you know, you see this stuff with Apple and Samsung, you know, with the phones. You know, Apple's doing well. But if we live in a world where Samsung was eating Apple's lunch when it comes to the cell phone market, and there was all sorts of exclusive shit on Samsung, you better believe the government would step in and say, you can't do that. You can't fucking block all this shit from Apple phone users. There is some of that shit, but let's be honest. Number one, there's way more shit Apple is blocking from other phone companies, number one. And number two, Apple is doing the best, and Apple is an American company. So there's a lot of shit that, you know, they don't give a fuck about. That is exactly why you're seeing, I believe it was the European Union, they passed a bill telling Apple, you can't sell your fucking unique exclusive dongle chargers, you know, to make everyone buy a new one every fucking year. You can't do that. You have to adopt the universal port. for everyone to fucking use because that shit's just fucking unfair. Are they doing that here in the US? No, because it's a US product. That is the reason why. Because they make all the money and it goes into the pocket of the US economy. That is the reason why. That is the reason why over there in the UK, or not the UK, but I believe it's the European Union that passed that bill for regulations on Apple, is because Apple ain't fucking, a Polish brand. Apple ain't made in France. You know what I mean? And if China, like if Apple was, this is where it gets a little complicated because a lot of the money Apple makes, a lot of the just money that passes through the economies in the markets, China gets a large portion of that because they outsource all their building materials and they make this shit over there. So I'm sure they don't give a fuck. But China has their own phones over there. I'm sure there's all sorts of yeah, iPhones to me are scams. I don't have a cell phone. Well, yeah, I have a government phone. I have my auntie's government phone. I had one of my own years ago in my own name, but then they took it away from me because, well, I was on government assistance for a while, and then I got off of government assistance because the government said I'm making too much money to be on government assistance. I was like, okay, I guess I don't need the free handout anymore. It's fine. It's fine. I'm paying my own way now. So when they took me out, so the way it works is, I think it's the Obama phones. They took away my Obama phone because they took away my assistance stuff. So like, you can't have a phone anymore. I'm like, huh, that sucks. I guess it's like that meme. I guess I'll just die then. I guess I just won't have a phone. And so I'm borrowing my aunt's phone. She's got a premium phone. She doesn't even need her government one, but she's loaning it to me. That's the one we use. We only booted up we used it when we went to the Mario movie the other day because she loaded up because we bought our shit online. She just loaded it up so she could just scan the QR code. And that's about it. We don't really use it. We use it for emergencies, like when we leave to go. I don't even like having it in the house because I know goddamn well if I say I'm gonna blow up the Pentagon with a pipe bomb. Fuck trans people. MAGA. Allah Akbar. Like, I'm sure my phone just went, huh? What? Let's record that shit. I'm goddamn sure that's what's happening. No one's gonna come to my house anytime soon, but if I ever get indicted and I go up against a jury of my peers, a grand jury, I'm sure that recording will be pulled out of someone's ass somewhere. The 12 and the 14 are the same exact thing. You enjoy doing this to me, don't you, Sam? You enjoy this shit. I don't know what that means. Are you talking about kids? You talking about kids? If you're fucking a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old, it's the same thing. That's so bad. Oh, man. When it comes to politics, I am like super on the right side of certain things. So many people are afraid to make kid jokes these days. I still make them every once in a while. My favorite one is every time the number 18 comes up, I always make it a point to go, my second favorite number. Let that sink in for a second. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. Anyway, Sam, I gotta fucking go. It's been time. I got had two concurrent people here today. Thanks for turning. It was fun. I got to actually talk about what I wanted to talk about today. I'll finish my coffee first. I got a sizable amount. I'm go ahead and plug the phone back in. Oh, there we go. I do a little goodbye fart. That was a little one. Did you even hear it? Well, what's on the docket today? I got let's check my legendary website while we're here. Let's see what we got in our inbox since I checked it. That's the first thing I do when I get up. I only got one submission. Maybe you could see it in the whites of my eyes. It's a GIF. I really shouldn't have enabled GIFs. Who is this? It looks good. Big bootied brown chick. Yep. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that one. I think I'm gonna approve it. It's ass all day. All fucking day. Has that influenced my libido? You know, they say all the time, like, masturbating to porn all the fucking time, or just looking at it. It's not good for the males. That is definitely true. You know, we need a little something extra in the bedroom, you know, for a passing grade. But they don't talk about the benefits as well. For instance, I don't have a problem staying hard. Once I'm there, all it takes is a little bit of stimulation and I'll stay there, right? I don't have a problem there. But, and this might just be because I'm older too, though. This is a benefit, especially for the lady. It takes me longer to, you know, to get home. It takes me longer to run around all four bases and slide into home. And that just means I last longer. So that's definitely a benefit. There's nothing worse than, you know, getting all charged up, planning your whole day around this event. You go in there and, you know, 10 minutes, it's over. Nothing worse than that. That hasn't happened to me in a very, very long time. But now I could last an hour-long session, a pure session of just 1 hour, 60 minutes. It's a common thing. It's a common thing. I wasn't able to do that when I was younger. Physically, I could. But, you know, I get off and then I just get everyone gets so goddamn tired. You see those videos? You see those fucking videos? The guy fucking comes, right? They fucking pull their dick out and they fucking slap it on her a couple of times. They get hard again, stick it back in, and they keep going. I can't do that. I've done that before, maybe 2 or 3 times, but holy shit, I can't just fucking do that. But yeah, that is the added benefit, I suppose, of watching a lot of porn and having it affect your mood and stuff is, you know, it takes a little bit more to get you stimulated, but at the same time, you don't pop your cork as fast either. So no one really talks about that. Well, I just did. All right, we're on the last swallow, no pun intended, with all the grime left in here, all the pure ground coffee. Oh. Whew. It's been fun, Sam. I'm gonna fucking go. It's been an hour and a half. These are getting longer and longer. Next one will be shorter, probably. I got, as you know, drinks to drink, bitches to fuck, and games to play. I just finished up Grounded. I'm going to have that, my What Have You Been Playing. I'm going to do a What Have You Been Playing stream. I'm going to be moving that over here on this channel, and it'll be fun. So it was fun, morning and all. That was the morning stream. Peace out.